Camera app, it's been Hasselbladified. Hasselbladified. I say most part because there are a few rough edges. So I decided to pit the OnePlus 9 Pro against the S21 Ultra's optics. Now, every time a brand does something really well, they go ahead and kind of ruin the moment by doing something stupid. OnePlus seems to have put together another winner here. Why am I so high on this phone? What are the rough edges I was talking about? Now, I've been using the OnePlus 9 Pro as my primary for about a week, and in today's video, let me talk about what I liked and disliked. What are the pros and cons of OnePlus's latest flagship phone? Now, if this is your first time here or the NCIS-styled intro has been cringeworthy enough for you to feign ignorance, my name's Ash, you're watching C4E Tech, and if you do end up liking this review, thumbs up, subscribe, turn on notifications, hit that bell icon. Let's now get started. Now, here's where we usually start with the built-in design. And I could do that. This is a nicely built phone, but there is something I want to talk about more today. The optics. So in this video, let's break the monotonous built-in design opening and start with the cameras instead. So what's so special, you ask? This branding, Hasselblad, the brand whose camera was responsible for this shot. Now this is the brand that's working with OnePlus. And guys, here's the thing. With smartphone cameras, there's only so much you can do, which is why even a brand like Red hasn't had a successful run with smartphones. But here with Hasselblad, well, let's start with the hardware. There are 4 cameras to the back surrounding that branding. The primary is a 48 megapixel Sony IMX789. It's paired with an optically stabilized f1.8 lens. The latest Sony sensor, lots of megapixels. Now that's something we expected, right? So no surprises. The picture shot with it came out quite nicely too. We can't really talk cameras without some kind of reference, so I decided to pit the OnePlus 9 Pro against the S21 Ultra's optics. And the 9 Pro held its ground. The Ultra, I like the detail on it a little more, but for the most part, the OnePlus 9 Pro felt like it was kind of sort of in the same zip code, which is something we've not always been able to say about OnePlus phones. Now, even under low light, as you can see, Nightscape does really well. It's pretty close to the S21 Ultra's performance. In fact, sometimes it even produces the brighter image. With video, which is usually Samsung's forte, I was pretty surprised to see the 9 Pro do better. 8K 30 versus 8K 24. The extra 6 frames, they do seem to make a difference. And it's not just that. Even the detail, like look at the building to the back here. It looks better on the OnePlus 9 Pro. Do note that the footage is wider because the S21 Ultra tends to have a crop for 8K. Also, rolling shutter, that's the distortion during fast movement. It's noticeably lesser with the OnePlus 9 Pro. Now, at 4K 60, both clips are stable, but I'd say that the colors are richer on the OnePlus. They seem to have done a tremendous job with the optics here. The not so common 4K 120fps slow motion function, it's just icing on the cake. Now, every time a brand does something really well, they go ahead and kind of ruin the moment by doing something stupid. Selfie videos is pretty average. Here side by side with the S21 Ultra, you can see the dynamic range not stacking up at all. Look at the window to the back, how it's blown out on the OnePlus. With them selfies, well, I feel OnePlus might do a tad better with skin tones. There is no comparison to the Ultra, and this is something we had to know, right? Because they've again gone for the same Sony IMX471 sensor. Now, for those who are keeping count, this is the 9th OnePlus phone to come out with this sensor. Forget the number of phones. If you're looking at generations, this is the 5th generation with the same selfie camera. Okay, forget generations. If you're looking at years, this is the 3rd year in a row that OnePlus has gone for the same selfie camera. Like for example, the Realme X, right? That phone is where I came across the IMX471 first. And I was in China for that launch. Since then, we've had Corona, China's lockdown to Indians and all that. So many things have happened. OnePlus is still on the IMX471. So that is a little bit of a letdown. Now, while OnePlus haven't paid a lot of attention to the selfie camera, the same cannot be said of the ultra-wide. Now, ultra-wides are where we generally see a dip in quality, a dip in detail, because the aperture gets narrower, the sensor size gets smaller. That's still true here. The aperture has gotten narrower, it's f2.2, and the sensor has gotten smaller, but this is a 1 by 1.56 inch sensor for the ultra wide. It's pretty close to the 1 by 1.43 inch sensor on the primary. And this is also a new Sony sensor. So they've paid a lot of attention to the ultra wide. It's a 50 megapixel Sony IMX766. There's a lot of detail. And just like the primary, the dynamic range is excellent. There's less distortion to the edges, or at least that's OnePlus's claim. It's not any better than what we get with something like the S21 Ultra though. The third camera, it's an 8 megapixel telephoto, 3.3x stabilized optical. Nothing special about this one. Finally, there's a 2 megapixel monochrome camera that kinda sorta does make up the numbers. Just like every brand, OnePlus has also given into their temptation here. So one useless sensor. Now from a software perspective, the camera app, it's been Hasselbladified. What? Hasselbladified. What? Hasselbladified. Hasselbladified. It is something OnePlus have worked on. It's not too dissimilar from what we've been seeing till now though. The entire software experience, in fact, isn't too dissimilar. This is the latest Oxygen OS built on top of Android 11. The feature set's not changed drastically, but Oxygen OS, it's usually about speed and, I mean, it is about features too, but it's focused more on speed. And the 9 Pro does deliver on that for the most part. I say most part because there are a few rough edges. I did face a little bit of stutter when running this phone at both Quad HD Plus and 120Hz. This seems to be a software issue, so hopefully OnePlus can iron it out. Remember, this is the first time OnePlus have gone with this kind of display, one where the refresh rate can vary from 1 Hz to 120 Hz. This totally depends on what you're doing. For example, OnePlus says it's gonna stick at 1 Hz if you leave text on screen or if you're looking at a picture on screen, 24 Hz if you're watching a movie, 120 Hz if you're just zipping around the interface. Given OnePlus's adoption of new technology, things should get better with time. Because after all, the hardware inside that Snapdragon 888 chip, 8 or 12 gigs of DDR5 RAM, 128 or 256 gigs of UFS 3.1 storage, this combination is more than capable of keeping any interface fast and snappy. And Oxygen OS is one of the fastest and snappiest interfaces, so it should have no issues, even at 120 Hz and Quad HD Plus. Now, another point about this display, this is an LTPO panel, OnePlus's first. LTPO or low temperature polycrystalline oxide is supposed to be the most advanced backplane technology used on OLED displays. If you ask me what that is, I don't really know. That's what I read on the reviewer's guide. Basically, it's a lot of technobabble that means this is an AMOLED panel that should be more power efficient than what we've seen in the past. Talking about power efficiency, we've got a 4500 milliamp hour battery on the inside, and with regular day-to-day use, your regular kind of moderate use with a lot of messages, video playback for about an hour, some social media, multiple hours of Bluetooth audio playback, some camera use, a little bit of gaming. With this kind of usage, I could definitely get through a day on a single charge. In fact, it was quite easy. Now, if you do end up running out of juice, there is a charger included in the box, which is a positive these days. This is a 65 watt charger, just like with the OnePlus 8T, but this charges even faster, 0 to 100 in under 30 minutes, which is pretty nuts. OnePlus has managed to pull this off by splitting the battery into two. There's wireless charging as well, and unlike the OnePlus 9, this is not market dependent. With the OnePlus 9, Europe and US, they do get 15 watt wireless charging, while the Indian variant does not get wireless charging. There's no such discrepancy here. All variants of the OnePlus 9 Pro, they do get, wait for it, 50 freaking watts of wireless charging. So even wirelessly, you can charge this phone from 0 to 100 in under 45 minutes. Sweet, right? Okay, now this back here, it's made of 3D Gorilla Glass. The front and back glass panels are held together by a nice metal frame. The placements are typical OnePlus. Power key and alert slider to the right, secondary noise cancelling mic up top, volume keys to the left, and to the bottom we've got the dual SIM tray, USB Type-C port and speaker. Beat it up, the earpiece also doubles as a speaker, so we get stereo output, quite loud and filling. In hand, the OnePlus 9 Pro feels pretty solid and premium. Given the screen size is more or less similar to its predecessor, OnePlus have managed to shave a few millimeters of length and breadth, making the 9 Pro ever so comfortable to hold, or at least as comfortable as a glass bag can be. So what else? The 9 Pro is slightly thicker than its predecessor. It weighs around the same. In fact, it weighs 2 grams lighter if I can recall correctly. There's an IP68 ingress protection rating. A case is included in the box, and I like this case more than the regular TPU cases that you get. It goes well with this morning mist. That is what this color is called. There are 2 other color variants, a stellar black and forest green. From the pictures I've seen, forest green does look pretty interesting. I'm guessing OnePlus will be providing different colors for the cases based on the color of the phone. So guys, what do we have here? The latest, fastest OnePlus phone comes with a new Hasselblad tie-up. The optics, they seem to be vastly improved. They still don't beat tier 1 flagships for stills, but the video performance has gone up quite a lot. So I'd rate optics somewhere between good and excellent. Selfies are disappointing, definitely below average for what we've come to expect from a phone in this segment. The specs, there's nothing to complain about. They are excellent. Snapdragon 888, DDR5, UFS 3.1. The user experience, as of now, I'm going to just give it a good rating. If and when that minor stutter issue gets resolved, I'm open to switching it to excellent. Battery life, I would call it above average. This is not the best battery life you're going to get. At the same time, it's not bad either. But charging is excellent. So overall, OnePlus seems to have put together another winner here with the OnePlus 9 Pro. What remains to be seen is how much they're going to price it at. With the ROG Phone 5 coming in at under 50,000 rupees, I expect this to start at the same price as the OnePlus 8 Pro, 55,000. At 55K, I wouldn't mind picking this phone up. I wouldn't mind recommending it. 57K would be pushing it. You wouldn't be getting quite as nice a deal. At 60K, I just flat out say OnePlus is getting greedy. So there you have it. This is my take on the OnePlus 9 Pro. And by the time this video goes live, the pricing would also have been announced. So I'll pin that to the comments below as always. So what do you guys think of the 9 Pro? Do you feel it is a worthy successor to one of the best phones of last year? Or do you feel there's nothing lacking here? Leave a comment down below. And with that, we get to the end of this video. Thumbs up, thumbs down based on whatever you felt about it. Subscribe, turn on notifications, hit that bell icon if you haven't yet. And thanks a lot for watching. Till next time, my name's Ash. You've been watching C4 Retech. And I'm signing off for now. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.